I have been using the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7 for 1 month now, and if you're on the fence about picking one up for yourself, this is the video for you. Let's kick it off with the design. There's not a whole lot different than the Z Flip 6. The cover screen no longer has that weird cutout at the top, which is great. I always used to get dust and lint collected up there. It's also a little thinner, taller, and wider than the Flip 6, coming in at 6.5mm when open, 13.7mm when folded, and it only weighs 188 grams. I'll be honest though, I noticed the extra width, but it doesn't feel thinner to me. This isn't anything like going from an older Fold to the thinness of the Z Fold 7. The design is more of the same for the most part. You get an Armor aluminum frame, Gorilla Glass Victus 2 on the back, which is frosted on the non-display half, and IP48 dust and water resistance. And the hinge, it's a noticeably thinner Armor Flex hinge, as Samsung calls it, which holds positions across a wide range of angles, which is great for flex mode users. Also, I find that this phone flips open a lot easier than prior generations. At the end of opening it, the phone kind of snaps open, which I love. It makes it even more fun to open and close. Overall, it feels durable and very premium. I think people get too worried over foldables and flip phones in general. I have used Samsung foldables and flip phones for years now without a case, and they are just as durable as my slab phones in most situations. Of course, they don't offer the same dust and water protection as something like the S25 Ultra, but if you want to try a flip or foldable, get insurance and use your phone with moderate care and you're going to be just fine. They are much more durable than you might think. And you can pick this up in some great looking colors. Blue Shadow, which is the one that I have, which makes me feel like I'm holding my old Game Boy SP, Jet Black, Coral Red, which also looks incredible, and an online exclusive Mint option. Buttons are clicky and well placed, and the haptics are great too. Here's a comparison to the Google 9 Pro XL. And for the display, the Z Flip 7 is just awesome. On the inner display, you're looking at a 6.9-inch dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2x 1080 by 2520 120Hz HDR10+ and up to 2600 nits of peak brightness. Outdoor visibility is terrific and I've had no issues using it in my bright Florida sun. And for one of the best upgrades for the Flip series this year is the outer display. It finally covers the entire front of the device, which means no more funny cutouts. You get a 4.1-inch 120Hz Super AMOLED cover panel that matches the main screen's smoothness and brightness. I have already found myself using this cover display much more than I did on the Z Flip 6. One thing to note, and honestly people exaggerate over this all the time, but the crease on the inner display is still there. You're gonna feel it if you hunt for it, but it fades in daily use. As someone who has used folds and flips for years, I don't find this to be a deal breaker, and it shouldn't be one for you. When you use this phone, you completely forget about the crease at all. So overall, the display is very similar to last year's, but the cover display is a much needed improvement. Now, where we also see a small improvement is the battery. Samsung increased the battery to 4,300 mAh from the 4,000 mAh from the Z Flip 6. Even if it's a small bump up, I love when companies increase battery capacity. I will say though that I haven't noticed a significant increase in actual screen on time. I normally get between 7 and 8 hours of screen on time with regular use. For reference, since we all use our phones a little bit differently, I mainly use my phone for taking phone calls, sending texts to family and friends, browsing Reddit, taking photos and editing photos, listening to music, audiobooks of course, and gaming via emulators and streaming games with services like Xbox Game Pass. One area Samsung did not improve on, however, is the charging speed. You are getting the same 25 watts wired and 15 watts wireless. Samsung, you really need to improve this. For the price, we should at least be getting the 45 watts wired of the S25 Ultra. It takes me about an hour and a half to go from 0 to 100%, and that is slow, period. One good thing is that we still get the 4.5 watts of reverse wireless charging, and I love to use this when I'm in a rush and need to juice up my headphones for just a little bit. It's not a feature I use a ton, but I love that we have it available. Now, where many of you might be concerned is the performance, and that's mainly because of the curveball Samsung threw us this year. The Exynos 2500 3nm chip replaced the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 from the previous generation. And I'm gonna admit, I was initially worried about this when I saw it in the keynote. But after using it, and now that we have credible benchmarks, I can say with confidence that you don't need to worry about the chip this year. You're gonna get the same exact incredible performance of last year, but it is only going to be slightly better on benchmarks. I have not noticed any overheating, stutters, and glitches either, so even with the switch from Snapdragon, it still performs just as I had hoped. You also get 12GB of RAM, which helps when switching between a ton of different apps, and UFS 4.0, and now the base storage is 256GB instead of the 128GB, which is greatly appreciated. With all the cloud services out there these days, I find that with 256GB, I have plenty of storage. Day to day, the phone feels fast, multitasking feels very comfortable, and gaming works terrifically well with whatever you're going to throw at it. And for the software and features, out of the box you are getting Android 16 with One UI 8, and as usual, Samsung promises 7 years of software and security support. I have always been a Pixel software fan. I would dabble with Samsung phones, and then I would run back to my Pixel devices. I still love Pixel software, so please don't get me wrong, but to me, One UI 8 has made Samsung my favorite phone manufacturer to use this year when it comes to software. It is incredibly customizable, and you get amazing theming, edge panels that make multitasking much easier, custom sound and vibration tuning if you really want to, and of course, Good Lock and all of its different modules, like Multi-Star that turns the cover screen into something entirely usable for all your applications, and my personal favorite, One Hand Operation Plus, which is possibly the most underappreciated feature of Samsung ever. And you get the full Samsung Galaxy AI bundle for things that are useful in my day-to-day life, like summaries of long web articles and the ability to translate them instantly. Photo editing, AI tricks, and even the Now Brief feature is one that I have used way more than I thought that I would have. And if you're worried about privacy while using AI, which you probably should be, Samsung has you covered. You can opt to process data on your device only. Now, one thing I want to see improved is that I hope we can get in the future full functionality of the cover screen to have it 100% mimic what we can do with the phone unfolded, but maybe that will come with the Z Flip 8 next year. For the camera, I was disappointed this year if I had to be completely honest. That's not to say that it's a bad camera setup. On the contrary, it's pretty good. But we've had zero improvements from the Z Flip 6. Everything is the same from the main cameras to the selfie camera. You're getting a 50 megapixel main camera, a 12 megapixel ultra wide, and a 10 megapixel selfie cam on the inner screen. Daylight shots are detailed, natural leaning processing, and offer good dynamic range overall. Whether you're outdoors or indoors, photos from the main camera are just fine. They won't be as good as the S25 Ultra or even the Z Fold 7, but they look fine enough to share to your family and friends. Portrait photos look decent as well. I think Samsung has some great edge detection software. With the ultra-wide camera, you get great coverage and color match to the main sensor, but I noticed loss in detail many times, and there's no autofocus either, so close-up macro shots can be a little tricky at times, but once you get it right, you can get a few good photos. For selfies, the main 10 megapixel camera is nothing but average. It will be fine for video calls, but I would not use this thing for selfie pictures. This phone is the selfie champion in my opinion though, only for one reason. You can use the main sensor for your selfies, and all you have to do is raise your hand up to have the countdown timer start, and they look incredible. If your primary photos are selfies, you've got to pick up a flip phone. You can do a similar trick with foldables, but because of the size of the flip, it makes it so much easier to just whip it out and snap a quick selfie. For low light, without night mode, photos tend to be fairly grainy with slightly murky shadows. They don't look great, to be honest. But night mode cleans this up a little bit but adds sharpening, which can be too much sharpening at times, but it still looks better than no night mode. I still think pixels are the night mode champion, but I would say that the Flip 7 does a good job overall. Colors are respectable and detail is normally preserved even in extremely dark situations. Even the 2x zoom in low light looks pretty good as well. And for video, you get up to 4K 60 on all 3 cameras, which is all I want in a phone camera. However, video here is respectable, but definitely not on the same level as something like the S25 Ultra or even the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So, should you buy the Galaxy Z Flip 7 if you want a fun phone with pretty good battery life, amazing selfies, solid performance, and a gorgeous display on both the inner and the cover display? This is the phone for you. It's portable, and there is something about flipping your phone open that never gets old to me. If you're looking for the best battery life that you can get on a smartphone, super fast charging, and top tier cameras, this is not the phone for you. I would still stick with slab phones for another generation and see what Samsung gives us for the Z Flip 8 next year. Overall though, I am very happy with the Z Flip 7, even though I don't think I would upgrade from the Z Flip 6 because of all the similarities. But if I had a 5 or older, then I completely recommend it. If this video helped you out, please hit the like button down below and subscribe for more if you like what I do, and I will see all of you next time.